안녕하세요. Okay, this this is interesting. Rolling Quartz, a K-rock band, and already it's not what I was expecting. I looked up a little bit about the band, and it's one of these. It's almost like Guns N' Roses, right? There were originally two bands, and one was called the L.A. Guns, and then I forget something Roses, obviously in the second band, and they merged together, and that's how you got Guns N' Roses, right? So with Rolling Quartz, there was a band that had the Rolling, I think, what was it, Rolling Girls or something like that, and then it was Rose Quartz was the other band, and they ended up merging together into one group that's called Rolling Quartz. Now, this is interesting. Of course, I hear there are plenty of examples in K-pop music where you might have a rock or pop rock sound. Dreamcatcher, probably most notably, right? They tend to have a lot of these rock and even metal sounding type of instrumental arrangements for the mix in their tracks, and it works really well, right? Now, I don't know exactly, because this is not, this is not calling itself K-pop, right? This is calling itself K-rock. So there's a distinction here. So it's obviously meant to be a different sound. But this will be interesting. If I had to think back, the rock sound is probably what I would really say, is the root, or the sort of style that I was primarily interested in for most of the growing up, and of course we had a lot of stuff by the time the 90s came around already, so there was a whole bunch of different things going on. But I came up really kind of as a kid. There was the sort of 90s grunge era with Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots and bands like Smashing Pumpkins and Soundgarden, things like that. And then by the time I hit high school, which is really when I'm going out to concerts and doing all, really going to see a lot of live music, it was the bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and that type of sound, right? Avenged Sevenfold, things like that. So I'm interested to see what the song structure is. Is it something kind of like that? Is it something a little bit newer? Is it something more contemporary? What informs it? Are there any obvious influences that become apparent? Because and I wasn't expecting this to be a girl band either. I thought okay, maybe it's a dudes, or maybe it's a mix, or what I mean, something's going on. But no, it's a girl band, which is interesting in and of itself, and they're primarily credited with the writing, with the composition, the songwriting, and everything. So this will be fun. All right, let's see. Rolling Quartz, Blaze. So this was their official debut that they ended up releasing a single album for. Oh man, so yeah, there's a lot of that influence in there for sure. A little bit of everything, you know. It kind of sounds close to like 2000s era rock. Um, a lot of the sort of contrast between, like, you know, the pre-chorus section, the way it kind of goes a little bit brighter in sound there, and there's a little bit more syncopation in the percussive part where in the drums, right, where there's feels like there's more space and it's not so busy with the fills, um, and kind of just like stretching out there, and then going back into a pretty intense type of chorus sound, right? And they have this working motive that is present kind of throughout the song, the dun 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 dun, right? And it's even at the beginning, but that sound, especially the dun 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 and the dun 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 dun, it's in the verse melody, the vocal melody. It's like it's all throughout the song, and it's a very cool just line to throw in there, and to use it in different places. It really, it sounds, yeah, just like I hear a little bit of everything in there, you know. There's a little bit of metal, there's a little bit of rock, there's a little bit of grunge. First of all, really awesome, you know, instrumentation. This the playing ability, the actual, you know, skill level. It's really good. Like everything is very impressive. The drummer for sure. Such a great sense of rhythm, and such clean and precise time. The drum fills were really fun. I mean, really fun. Uh, and then the bassist too, right? The bass player. I kind of really love the way, like, how clean the bass sound is. You know, it's it's loud, but it's not like drenched in distortion or anything. It actually sounds really smooth, and for some of those great little licks in there, and how melodic the bass part actually gets at certain points. And she had a couple of bars before the guitar solo part comes in, and then the really nice duet between the two guitarists. They have this whole counterpoint thing going on with their lines, the sort of melodies that they're playing. And it's very cool the way that it's arranged, because you can hear one guitar in the left ear and the other guitar in the right ear. And when they get to that duet part, you hear the one going up and the other going down, and it's very cool. It's a very cool stereo type of arrangement there. And then the vocals too, she sounds so just right for the style, for the sound for the rock sound. She's got a little kind of more of a low register, right? But there's lots of body in the actual voice, and it's especially nice where it comes around to the hook. There's parts that have to be more driving, she's able to project a really quite nicely behind that. So all of these different sounds, all different, because I think of the voice also as another instrument. It really is, but everything in this is so complementary across all the different sounds that are going on in this track. Okay, we're in 4, but there's a lot of fun syncopation in the rhythms here, especially in the drums. There's some really cool, colorful stuff that's going on with the bass too. The bass adds a lot of character to the song. Like it's very impactful. It's extremely significant to the way this is written, and that's really interesting, because they wrote their parts. I mean, presumably, so it's very cool, man. It's very cool. Da-na-na. See that right there? That's such a prevalent idea, right? Musically in this song, it will come back again and again, not just for this part, but there are other things that match it, or that you can they're kind of based off of the same idea. Even that part right there, dun 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 dun, dun. And the bend too. It's like the first note there was it's like a half note, and then on the next half note, it's always a bend, bum bum bam bum bum bum. So she's creating a little bit more tension on the second half of that measure, and then the following pattern, the dun dun dun, kind of releases that tension afterwards. But it has an interesting color to it. Oh, okay, I was looking for the drummer. So she is playing double bass. Okay, I knew I heard it in there. I knew I heard some of the like, the two pedals going. Dude, this is legit. Like, this is really good. So see that vocal line, dun 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 dun. It's the same thing as dun 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 dun. Like that little jump up, and then the way it's worked back down. This is an idea that musically is all throughout the song. So right here, when you have the guitar playing that line at the same time as she's singing, you can really actually line up the shapes, right? The shapes of these two melodies that are going dun 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 dun, and at the same time you hear bow, 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 bow in the guitar. So that's where it really sort of becomes obvious, right? The fills, the drum fills are so much fun, you know. And even when she lays off of maybe just a little cymbal, you know, kiss there or something like it, it's really fun. It's really fun. So see, now we have this part where it does come, even the visual here has gotten a little bit brighter, right? It's gotten a little bit warmer, and the guitar sound is now arpeggiating over the chords, and you have a lot of the melody being done by the bass in this part, right? So of course you have a vocal line that's going, but you hear the bass player really starting to sort of, you know, sing a little bit with her part. And this is one of those like early 2000s kind of elements to the song, right? Especially when it comes out of this part and goes back into something that's a lot more driving. And so you have one guitar in the left that's playing it's a 16th notes. It's a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and she's following the chords, almost like a punk rock type of style to it, right? And then there's a more, you know, laid back type of rhythm going on in the other guitar. She's playing the whole chord. The left is playing perhaps just a scalar pattern, or at maybe power chords, you know, but the right sound is much more of an actual full chord sound. It's so much fun right there. Hold on. The way they come out of this chord, like it's, you know, the way they put a finish on like the hook section, right? that's so good. but man, it's fun. It's so fun. And see that callback too, right? Dun 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 dun. Like that's the sort of like battle cry. That's the thing that lets you know, like, okay, it's on. That prepares you in the beginning of the song, and then again, you know, the way that it comes just before the verse, right? That's your signpost right there that sort of initiates everything. The color in the bass right there, so good, man, so good. I love the bass. The bass work is really good in this. Also in this verse, the way that you know, the way they sort of allowed all that space, right? The way they were playing the dun dun, and then everybody kind of rests for about half a measure as the vocal is going on, and you can really hear some great backing vocals too. The harmonies on that, when they come in, they're really good, man. Like, they're really good. Everything is so accurate. All the different pitches and everything is so spot on. The bass, man, the bass. It's such an important part of this. It's expressive. You know, she's moving up and down. She loves to go up and do those little slides, right? A little portamento. something that I used to hear a lot in the sort of 90s punk sound, you know what I mean? But and even the way that it kind of finished, right? They hit that one beat. She had like the whole measure where she just let it ring out, bing. It's because you can do that with the guitar, right? You can do that with a different one of the other guitars, perhaps the lead or the rhythm. But the choice of putting it in the bass and letting it sort of carry the progression at the end of that phrase it's just very clever, and it's just such a nice touch to the song. It's so good, dude. So right now it's like lead and rhythm, right? Because the other guitarist was still strumming a rhythm pattern on that, but now they're going to start to do this duet type of thing where they're both kind of singing independent melodies. It's such a great counterpoint. It's oh man, it's the duration of that, like I wish there was more, because it's such a great sound, but it's also a very, very strong sort of high point in the song. So it's very short, like it's about, half of a phrase essentially. It's its own phrase, but the part before that where the lead guitar is really sort of out front with the playing, that's kind of like the first half of the solo section, and then when they play together, that's kind of like the second part of it there. But it creates such a nice melodic peak in the instrumental part of the song. It's really nice, man. It's supposed to make you want to hear it more. It's supposed to leave you like wanting more of that sound.
Eyes on me, yeah. Eyes on me, eyes on me, eyes on me, yeah. Higher up, higher up, higher up, yeah. Higher up, higher up, higher up, yeah.
She does a lot of this, like when she was saying higher, that's down here, and then she starts to move up with the next part, higher up, right? She's really expressing this concept of the ascending tone, the ascending pitch, but she's doing it by moving her voice from the lower part and then up towards the head voice. She's got really good control. Just everything. She's so expressive in all of her vocal parts, and she's got a wonderful range. It's I don't know what her, from this, I don't know like what's the absolute highest that she has and what's the absolute lowest, but it's more than enough for this particular song. But she's got such excellent control over it, and she can really put a lot of the expression behind it. The drum fill. Oh man, that's really good. that's really good. Like for because the difference, you know, like what's the difference? Well, in K-pop, you'll get a lot more variety of sound in some of the like the contrast between the sections. You know, so you have like the main verse melody that establishes itself, and then you move into a chorus section, and then you'll have a change from a melodic verse style to a rap verse style, right? Like you'll or sometimes you'll have like a bridge that's a completely different, like, you know, it'll be kind of pop dance, and then it'll go full EDM or something for the bridge section, and then, you know, come back. But this is more streamlined in its styling, right? Like it's not meant to do any big departures from what it sets up in the beginning. It actually has to stay pretty close to it. So you get the most contrast in the sort of pre-chorus section, right? It's almost like a mini bridge that happens a couple of times. So the difference from what, you know, what one genre or style is to another style, right? One that incorporates many different styles and sounds, and one that has to sort of accommodate expressing adequately one particular type of style, right? But it's really, really good, man. It's fun. I love so anything guitar is pretty much always going to be, you know, okay in my book. Like it's always going to, I'm always going to like it. But in particular, the bass player and the drummer in this band are like two of the standout members, so, you know what I mean? In addition to the vocalist. It's not to say that the guitarists are lacking in anything. They're not. It's very measured, their parts that they play. Like it's like I was saying about the duet part, when the guitar solo section kind of comes around. The bass player even kind of initiates that solo section. She's so melodic with her playing, and the way that her lines are actually written throughout the song. It's really, really cool. And she's doing, you know, sometimes a little bit metal, sometimes a little bit like rock, and then some of those slides sounded very like 90s punk. Like there's a little bit of an application of different types of rock sounds that you can pick up on, right? But it's all so well written, and then so performed so well that it just melts together into something that sounds very appropriate. It's because, I don't know, to me, the rock sound coming out of, say, the West kind of fell off, you know, after the early 2000s, right? Like that's why like I hear some of that sound in here for sure, but there wasn't really much after that. Stuff that didn't get much play anyways, right? It was all retrospective, like, you know, but there aren't like a lot of these rock bands that are coming out now. Not like it was back then at 2000s and 90s and so on. But this sounds like, perhaps you could say, where it should have gone from there. You know, it's very intuitive, although it is very original and it's very new. It's its own thing, right? They've come up with this themselves, but it's very intuitive as to, if I think about where the sound was in 2008, 2009, 2010, because after that, it kind of just, you know, I'm sure there are people out there playing it, but they're not going to get on the radio, and they're not going to get, you know, these big gigs. They're just not going to be able to do it with the trends or whatever. So, but this sounds like the direction that it should have gone in. You know what I mean? If we're just talking about the rock genre, or the you know, that type of sound. This is basically where it would have gone next, right? But I can hear, of course, anytime you have like a double bass drum setup, that obviously we've got nods into the metal area, but it's really good. It's fun. It's so fun, and the percussion, the drummer, and the bass player, really, they're the ones that keep it quite fun and quite energetic throughout, and also the vocalist as well, the singer. The guitars are they're very, very strong at like making the rhythm part much more rich, right? And a lot of their hooks, they establish that sort of motive sound that's used in the beginning, and then the callback throughout the rest of the track, and then the duets and the solo part. But they're like the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Like their work is, at the same time as it's very strong, it's also very delicate. It's also a very measured and deliberate type of touch, and so that's what makes it, a really, really highlight as a sort of articulation, a more detailed and finer articulation on top of the overall song structure. But much of your musicality is coming from the bass. I mean, as much, if not more, but a lot of times it's like you're getting the most color from what the bass player is doing. And it's really fun, man. It's really fun. Like, this is kind of similar to when let's say when I started listening to K-pop, or when there's a new group and I'm like, I haven't heard this group before, I don't know what they sound like, and it's like I could maybe guess, or I could maybe anticipate. I'm never going to be like accurate with it, because it's always going to be kind of beyond what you expect. And this is kind of the same thing. Like I was like, oh, okay, it's a girl band. Oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, man, I wonder what it's gonna sound like, But it's better than anything I could have expected. But it's also like what I wanted to hear, Like, if I couldn't explain it through words, like, man, what I really would like for this band to be, or what the sound to be, but that's basically what it is. Like, it's really, really awesome. It's fun. It's a great sound. I absolutely love it. Everything. The guitar has, the right type of distortion that's being applied, right? Your rhythm guitar, and I think what she's doing, because there are certain parts where, especially that pre-chorus part, was a much more clean sound, especially the arpeggiated chords that are going on, right? That's a nice clean sound. It's very warm. It's rather soft. There's no distortion going on. And then there are times when she might hit a pedal, because there's like quite strong, gritty distortion that's going on that makes it feel much deeper. And then, of course, they're both, hitting the overdrive and singing when they're playing the solos and the sort of duet part, right? So they understand how to change up the color, right? How to get a different intonation. Like, I'm going to apply a clean sound here, and then I know when to engage the distortion for this next section. And of course, because they've written these parts out, right? But the bass being so smooth, like it's such a smooth sound, and it's it has like maybe a little bit of distortion, but it sounds more like amp distortion as opposed to like a pedal effect or something. It sounds very clean, actually very warm. And that's how she really gets a lot of color right? When she's playing some of these licks and some of these more melodic parts. And the drums are just fun, man. They're just fun. She's really good. Like, she's really, really good, and they all have such great control. Like when it's time to have a little bit more staccato and emphasize the rest. You know, the clean off, like dun dun, and then there's nothing. You know, boom boom, and then it's quiet. There's you don't get no feedback, no little. You know what I mean? Like, it's super clean. And there's some of that, you know, you can work out in production, but I don't think they need to. Like, if you see them live, you're gonna hit that bum bum, and it's gonna be super clean. You're just gonna hear the vocalist, perhaps a little ringing out of like a cymbal hit or something. But if they don't want it, if they don't want the sound to be there, they will and then mute. They'll absolutely just rest when it's time for the rest. And it's so clean. It's so clean throughout the entire thing. It's really fun, man. It's really fun. Yeah, I'll definitely check out some more from Rolling Quartz. This is fun. This is a great. This is, you know, it's an awesome track. They're awesome. They're awesome. You know, players. They're awesome instrumentalists. Very, very talented, man. And also writing these parts. It's really good. It's really good. So this will be fun. It'll be a fun group to sort of get into for this type of sound. Because mostly, like, I listen to the K-pop stuff like most of the time, because of my own particular ear or my own particular taste. When I listen to something else, it's usually a classical type of sound, or if not, it's one of those rock bands that I was talking about at the beginning, right? Like, that's the sort of sound that I'll want to hear if I'm in the mood for something else or whatever, right? But this is kind of like, okay, now I can find the same thing that I'm wanting to hear, right? And it's still sort of in the K arena, right? It's in the K sort of area. So that's very fun. Man, I will definitely check out more though from Rolling Quartz. This is interesting. Like, I want to know more about the band. I know they're relatively new. They kind of started up around the 2020 time frame. I'm taking that both of the bands kind of existed a little bit earlier than that, but by the time it becomes Rolling Quartz, you know, and like this song being released and everything, we're talking that 2020-ish type of time or whatever. So they're relatively new, but it'll be fun to get into them a little bit more and learn a little bit more about them, in addition to hearing more of the tracks and everything. So this will be fun. This was fun, man. This was, like I said, I don't try to anticipate anything necessarily, because you know, you're never going to be able to call it. It's always going to be like beyond whatever you could expect. So man, but this was really fun, man. Rolling Quartz with Blaze. It's a good time. It's a really good time.